Before pyramids pierced the sky, before the gods wore crowns, the land we call Egypt was two worlds, divided by the Nile. In the south, red granite cliffs and narrow valleys, Upper Egypt, the land of the White Crown. In the north, marshy deltas and wide skies, Lower Egypt, where the Red Crown ruled. For centuries, the two lands thrived, fought, and traded. Cultures grew, symbols evolved, and kings emerged, not yet called pharaohs. But winds of destiny stirred. A man would rise to unite the lands, and a civilization would be born, immortal in stone, ink, and legend. This is the beginning of a story told in hieroglyphs and scarabs, of divine kings, sacred rivers, and the eternal battle between order and chaos. Welcome to ancient Egypt. Welcome to the birth of the two lands. In the south, a lion emerged, cloaked in divine purpose, his name Narmer, warrior, king, legend. With the white crown of Upper Egypt on his brow and a war mace in hand, he marched north, his armies cutting through the delta reeds like flame. Cities fell, banners changed, blood fed the river, and then he raised both crowns, white and red. The Unifier on a single stone slab, the Narmer palette. He carved his victory not in ink, but in gods and symbols. Horus hovered over him. Chaos lay crushed beneath him. With one strike, the two lands became one, and history opened its first true chapter. Egypt was born. After unification, the kings of Egypt didn't just rule, they became gods on earth. Jer, the warrior king, expanded Egypt's borders with blood and fire. His name whispered in tombs carved deep beneath Abydos. Then came Jet, the serpent king. His tomb crowned with a stela that still breathes mystery, carved with cobra and crown. And Myrni, the shadow queen, a woman, perhaps, regent, perhaps, ruler, entombed like a pharaoh. These were not mere kings, they were divine conduits. To obey them was to obey the gods. And so they built eternal homes, mastabas, deep and dry. They filled them with food, gold, and servants, sometimes even the living. Death was not an end, it was a passage. And the kings of the first dynasty were ready for eternity. Egypt's kings no longer wanted mere tombs. They craved mountains of stone to touch eternity, and to Djoser, the second king of the third dynasty, and his genius architect, Imhotep. At Saqqara, Imhotep dared to dream in limestone, a six-tiered step pyramid never before imagined. It wasn't just a tomb, it was a stairway to the gods. Beneath it lay catacombs, courts, shrines, and false doors for the soul's journey. Every inch whispered of cosmic order, Ma'at. Tens of thousands of workers, craftsmen, and priests labored to raise it, not slaves, specialists, and loyal subjects, fed by the state, driven by faith. Here, Egypt declared its might in stone. The pyramid was not the end, it was the beginning of a legacy that would stretch to the heavens. As Djoser's step pyramid stood tall, a new king dared to reach higher. Sneferu, the founder of the fourth dynasty, not just a king, but the master architect of Egypt's future. He tried first at Medum. A steep pyramid collapsed, stone shattered, lessons etched in failure. Then came the bent pyramid at Dashur. Its angle changes midway, a compromise between ambition and reality. Yet it still stood, a unique monument to innovation. But Sneferu was not done. He commanded a third, the Red Pyramid, Egypt's first true smooth-sided pyramid. Vast, elegant, eternal. His builders had mastered the math, and through this perfection, he paved the way for the greatest wonder of all, his son's monument, Khufu's Great Pyramid at Giza. From failure to perfection, Sneferu's legacy was not just stone, it was evolution. In the shadow of his father Sneferu's triumphs, Khufu, son of innovation, rose to the throne. But Khufu's vision was greater, a pyramid that would scrape the sky. The Great Pyramid of Giza, taller than any structure in the world for 3,800 years. Over 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing tons, laid with precision on a foundation aligned to the stars. Not slaves, but a nation united in purpose. Farmers turned masons during the Nile flood. Engineers planned ramps, water levels, and labor camps. Beneath its core, the king's chamber, the grand gallery, the queen's chamber, all hidden in mathematical harmony. The pyramid was more than a tomb. It was a bridge between earth and the divine. And Khufu, he became a god in stone. The son of a god sought to carve eternity. Khafre, heir to Khufu, rose in the shadow of greatness, determined to shape his own legend. On the plateau of Giza, he ordered another pyramid, perfect in line and scale, crowned by a dream. Beside it, the lion-bodied human-faced sentinel emerged, the great Sphinx. Guardian of the rising sun, keeper of secrets, its gaze has never wavered. Khafre's court gleamed with divine authority. Priests proclaimed him Horus in the flesh, unchallenged, undying. Stone met sky in monuments to faith, ego, and afterlife. And in this sacred geometry, Egypt declared its soul. Here stood not just king, but gods in flesh and granite. This is the age of living divinity. This is the reign of Khafre. Amid towering ambitions, a smaller pyramid stood, yet not lesser in legacy. Menkaure, grandson of Khufu, brought compassion to the throne of stone. His court remembered justice, his rule whispered kindness. Statues carved in his honor showed gentler eyes, loving arms around queens and gods. He shortened the burdens of laborers. His rituals welcomed the common and the priest. Though his pyramid stood smallest on Giza's sacred row, it carried the heart of a king remembered not just in stone, but in spirit. Menkaure reminded Egypt, divine kings could still be human, and the gods sometimes smiled. This is not the echo of thunder, but of warmth. This is Menkaure. Not all kings leave legacies in stone. After the pyramid builders, silence crept across the two lands. Pharaohs ruled, but their names eroded like limestone in the wind. Shepseskaf, Userkaf, fleeting monarchs caught between glories. Power drifted from pyramid to priesthood. Dynasties turned, and gods changed their faces. Temples rose where pyramids once ruled the skyline. The voice of Ma'at whispered still, but fainter, more distant. A kingdom once united under vision began to fragment. Yet from these shadows would rise another light. This is the twilight before a rebirth. This is the age of the forgotten kings. The last stones of the old kingdom were set in place. The sun still rose over Giza, but the halls of power echoed hollow. Gnomes grew bold. Priests held sway. The pharaoh's word no longer thundered. Droughts cracked the soil. The Nile faltered. Ma'at teetered. The age of great builders ended not in flames, but in silence. yet their works endured. Pyramids still pierced the horizon, casting shadows across centuries. Hieroglyphs still danced, preserving the names of gods and men. And Egypt remembered that it once forged heaven from earth, spirit from stone. This is not an end, but a chapter sealed in sand. This is the closing of the old kingdom, and the legend of the two lands marches on.